Hello and welcome. I am Light and this is my channel. Today I'm going to tell you about a mysterious disappearance of a man who happened to have been an ex-paratrooper. His name is Gilbert Gilman, and he disappeared from Olympic National Park. Before I get started, you guys know the drill. If you please give this video a thumbs up, leave comments, share, and subscribe. It really helps my channel to be seen. All right, let's start talking about this. On Saturday, June 24th, 2006, Gilbert, who went by Gilman, he was 47 years old. He went for a short walk in Olympic National Park in Washington State, and then he never returned. Gilman intended to take photos rather than go for a serious hike, so he dressed lightly, and he wore casual footwear, and he didn't carry a backpack. He parked his car at the Staircase Ranger Station and he briefly spoke with the park ranger, Sandy Lustig. This was the last time that anyone saw him, and despite an intensive 10-day search, there was never any trace of Gilman found. In the 18 years since his disappearance, no evidence has emerged regarding his fate. Is it possible that Gilman intended to disappear? Maybe he was going to work covertly for the U.S. government. Was he murdered by a serial killer? Did he succumb to the elements in Olympic National Park? These questions remain unanswered. So let's continue on. Gilman was 5 feet 7 inches and he weighed between 155 and 165 pounds. He had graying brown hair and brown eyes. He was wearing a bright blue and green Hawaiian shirt, khaki pants, maybe shorts, sandals, and had prescription sunglasses. And that's what he was wearing the day that he visited the Olympic National Park. He was a tough and superior intellectual guy. As an ex-U.S. Army paratrooper who had served military duty in Panama, East Africa, and Israel, he had a lot of combat experience with the 82nd Airborne, and he received 2 Bronze Stars. Gill had degrees from the London School of Economics, Union College in New York, and Solvay Business School in Brussels. But possibly one of the most interesting things about Gill was that he formerly worked as a military interrogator in Iraq, and he took assignments in counterterrorism and counterintelligence. He wasn't somebody you wanted to run into in a dark alley. He also worked as a civilian contractor for a year in Iraq and was fluent in Arabic, Russian, and Chinese. Gill worked for the United Nations in New York before he came to Washington State to manage the 2004 congressional campaign for Sandy Matheson, the director of the state's Department of Retirement Systems. From April 2005, he worked under Matheson as a deputy director of the Retirement Systems Department, and he advised her on national and local pension issues. Seems like a job so far away from being an interrogator in Iraq, doesn't it? Gill was spotted by a park ranger, Sandy Lustig, carrying a camera but not a backpack on June 24, 2006. Sandy is quoted as saying, "I could actually hear the music playing in his car, so I went out to see what was going on. I had a brief conversation with him and asked him to turn down the music. I got the sense that he was going for a hike." The Staircase area of Olympic National Park is located about 30 minutes outside of Hoodsport in a lowland old-growth forest. It is also the base of a seasonal ranger station. It's a campground and the trailhead for the North Fork Skokomish River Trail. It's a beautiful spot for backpacking or for day hikers or for photographers. It is the beginning of the Staircase Rapids Loop. The Staircase Rapids Loop Trail is a mile and it is relatively flat. It loops and it takes walkers under the canopy of about 300 to 400-year-old Douglas firs, western hemlocks, and western red cedars. Perfect for photography. The trail follows the North Fork Skokomish River and meanders through the woods, passing by some mossy trees and ferns. A spur trail leads to a large fallen cedar. A suspended bridge built in 2013 crosses the river, giving a viewpoint of the rapids. In 1998, the original bridge was removed by high water, and so the new bridge was built, much higher, to accommodate the spring runoff in that area. Hikers can continue a longer hike of around 15 miles round trip on the North Fork Skokomish River Trail to Flapjack Lakes. Now, Gil was supposed to accompany Sandy Matheson to a meeting in Spokane, Washington, my hometown, in case you care, on Sunday, June 25th, 2006, the day after he set out for his trip to the park. When he failed to meet Sandy as planned initially, Gilman was reported missing to the authorities. A few days after he'd been reported missing, his 2005 Ford Thunderbird convertible vehicle was still located at the Staircase Ranger Station. Searchers spent 10 days looking for any clue of Gilbert in the Staircase area. They examined nearby trails and ridges in the area, which include steep, rocky hills, dense forest, and the North Fork Skokomish River. And they found no trace of him. Nothing. They used tracking dogs. They had a helicopter and a plane equipped with heat-seeking FLIR equipment and 62 searchers on the ground. After 10 days of this, their fruitless searching, the U.S. Forest Service declared him lost, and the official search was called off. His mother is quoted as saying, "It's hard to imagine a person can just disappear," and nothing was ever found. But as we know here, that happens more than we should be comfortable with. In 2015, Gil was declared legally dead. To be presumed dead in Washington state law, an individual must be missing and not heard from for at least 7 years, with an absence that is, quote, not satisfactorily explained after diligent search or inquiry. So in 2015, Doris Gilman petitioned Thurston County Superior Court to become the official estate trustee with the authority to close the estate. So could he have been lost on the trail? Since the Staircase Loop Trail is short and well marked, getting lost is pretty unusual, unless someone were to get turned around and continue on the North Fork Skokomish River Trail. The entire area, though, was extremely well searched. It is not the first time someone has gone missing after hiking in the Staircase area. In the 1980s, 2 hikers were reported missing and never found. But the reality is, that was quite a long time ago, and before we had a lot of the technology we have now. Could Gil have disappeared intentionally? Some theories emerged about Gilbert in several TV shows over the following years. In 2008, Cairo TV said that Gilman had previously worked on top secret military intelligence assignments and led a, quote, mysterious life. Gilman's mother believes he may have been deciding to become a spy for the United States government and disappeared as a result. Odd, though, that you wouldn't tell your mother at least something, maybe even something along the lines of, I really can't tell you what's going on, but I'm going to be leaving. I don't know. Could he have been murdered by Israel Keyes? In a 2014 episode of Dark Minds, which is hosted by Investigation Discovery and reporter M. William Phelps, well, he suggested that Gilman was a possible victim of the Alaskan serial killer Israel Keyes. Keyes committed suicide in custody in Anchorage in 2012. He was an avid hiker who had lived in Nia Bay in Washington since 2001 and was issued a few overnight backcountry permits to access the Olympic National Park. But according to author Molly Koneski, Keyes was competing in a marathon in Port Angeles when Gilman went missing. If you want to know, he also came in ninth place in the race. Keyes was linked to the murder of 11 people from Vermont to Washington State between 2001 and 2012. I recently watched a documentary about him. He said he killed a couple and two individuals in Washington, dumping them into lakes, including Lake Crescent near Port Angeles, 600 feet at its deepest, never to be found. The FBI says that Keyes, who was a carpenter, was arrested at age 34 after admitting that he murdered an 18-year-old Anchorage girl and sought many of his victims while hiking and camping and in remote locations. He traveled all over the USA and trips to the wilderness, and it seems that on these trips he sought out to murder victims and dispose them very discreetly to avoid detection. But in March 2014, Anchorage-based FBI Special Agent Kevin Donovan said that Keyes was unlikely to be involved in Gilman's disappearance, particularly since he was at a race somewhere else. Based on evidence and reviews of unsolved homicides and missing person cases. However, Koneski's theory about Keyes' involvement was quite interesting, but like we said, highly unlikely. So, what happened to Gilbert? He was very intelligent and not likely to be killed by a serial killer. He had skills. To quote Liam Neeson, I can tell you that I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. And he was that guy. What happened to him? He's intelligent enough to know if he encountered trouble on the trail to leave some type of clues. I don't think that he is the kind of mind that would let somebody sneak up on him. I mean, he was an interrogator in Iraq and had done some top secret assignments. So then, what? And why would he go to the park and be seen if he was going to just disappear? Why not just disappear? Either way, it's a disappearance. If he was going to start working for the military again. Or did he ever stop working for the military? We may never know, as there are zero clues, nothing to show what had happened to him. And unfortunately, his family and his mother might never get the answers they're looking for. Thank you for coming to my channel, and good night.